Okay, gloves aren't the most glamorous part of motorcycling, so thanks at least for clicking. But these Knox Urbane Pros are so good that I bought them twice, so I thought I'd pass on the details. And as promised in the thumbnail, this is a totally unsponsored review. I paid for all the gloves shown with my own money, and there's no affiliation with any manufacturer. Like many of you, I suspect, I own a few pairs of gloves: summer, winter, sport, retro, urban, adventure. But these Knox Urbane Pros have been my go-to gloves for 95% of my riding these last few years. And I guesstimated that I've probably put them on and taken them off around 9,000 times. I bought this original pair of Mk2s about 5 years ago when they first came out, and as you can see, they are now pretty much worn out, especially around the cuff. I'll discuss just how that came to be later, but this video is all about why I recently replaced them with exactly the same thing. Well, the Mk2s. It's the first time I've ever bought any motorcycling gear twice, so I thought they were worthy of this short video. So the Urbane Pros are high-end, if only by price. They're around €100 or 80 British pounds. High-end summer riding gloves combining cowhide leather palms with breathable textile panels. They're designated as warm weather gloves, but living in southern Portugal, I'm able to use them pretty much all year round, as I really like the mix of abrasion-resistant leather and open 3D mesh, which means the gloves are extremely well ventilated. My hands consistently stay cool and dry, even in temperatures over 30 degrees centigrade, 85 Fahrenheit. All the leather sections, the palm and the wraparound fingertips, are perforated to maximize airflow, and the mesh backs let air through. That said, I do think the ventilation could be improved upon, and quite easily. This rubber honeycomb section on the back, for example, looks as if it's been designed to allow wind through, but only 4 of the holes are actually holes, and the entire pad has a backing layer to it underneath, so not a lot of air actually makes it through to your skin, which is a shame. To maximize comfort, Knox uses wraparound seamless finger ends, which in plain English I think means that the fingertips are pre-curved and stitched so they follow your finger's shape, making them soft and supple. Certainly works. A neoprene cuff replaces the rather fragile vented fabric of the Mk2s, but they have kept the trademark lift and lock Velcro strap. It's a simple system that works really well, and it does make the gloves easier to fit quickly and snugly around the wrist, and I miss it when I use the simple Velcro flaps on my other gloves. Knox has also included touchscreen conductive material on the index finger and the thumb, so you can operate a phone or GPS without having to remove the glove, something my backup pair of summer gloves, these Revit calibers, don't have. I forgot to check this when I bought the Revit, and I kick myself about it every time I try to use my phone when I'm wearing them. The fit of the Knox gloves is generally good, but there are a couple of caveats. First, the gloves have a tight, sporty cut, and I find that the sizing runs on the small side, especially the thumbs, which for me are a little too short. I got round this with the Mk2s by lightly wetting the thumbs and stretching them over the handle of a hammer for about 24 hours. Now I usually take XL gloves, which the first pair were, but I went with XXL for this second pair, and they are better for me. So if you're unsure, I would suggest taking the next size up. But I think the number one reason I like these Urbane Pro gloves is the integration of these palm sliders. See, in the event of a fall, you instinctively put your hands out in front of you, which is fine, except that because on a bike your whole body is also probably moving forwards, the heel part of your palm can dig into the road surface, bending your wrist over as your body continues to move over it, fracturing your scaphoid and or forcing your hand to, as it were, fold back on itself. Sliders should prevent or at least attenuate this, and indeed I did test the idea a few years ago accidentally when I dropped my Honda CB500X as I was pulling up to the garage at home. I went over, right arm outstretched, hand out, and here's the result, if you can make the scratches out on the camera. Okay, it was a low speed accident, but it was nice to have the sliders, and my right hand stroke wrist was none the worse for wear. Of course, I've no way of knowing what would have happened if I'd been wearing a pair of gloves that didn't have sliders, but I just feel safer now knowing that they're there. I'm not saying these are the only gloves on the market with integrated sliders, but there aren't that many, especially on short summer gloves like these. The Urbane Pros are EN 13594 Level 1 certified, which means they meet the basic CE standard for impact and abrasion. They're not going to match the protection of a full gauntlet glove, but within the short cuff lightweight category, they perform okay. As I said, here in southern Portugal, I'm lucky in that I can wear them almost all year round, but if you're in Northern Europe, the UK for example, you'll need something a bit more substantial in the autumn, winter and early spring. There's no waterproof or thermal lining, meaning that wind and rain pass straight through the mesh and the perforated leather, so in temperatures below about 15 degrees C, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, your hands will feel decidedly chilly. Overall durability of the main materials is good. After 6 years of daily use with my first pair, they're still just about usable, but a hole has worn in the inner cuff from the 9,000 plus Velcro rips. I see they've upgraded the cuff material from the rather thin perforated fabric of the Mark I to this more substantial looking neoprene on the Mark II. The lift and lock cuff closure has been retained, making the gloves easy to pull on and secure, and they've added an extra tab to the Mark II design. Very nice when new, but it has to be said that the Velcro grip degrades over time and loses its stickiness. I suppose you could replace the pads, but it's more likely that, as I've just done, you end up buying a new pair of gloves. So, in summary, the Knox Urbane Pro gloves are light, comfortable, reassuring with their palm sliders, and they always keep my hands dry and cool in the summer heat. But they are a bit pricey. The Velcro fastening eventually becomes fatigued. Ventilation could, I think, quite easily be improved further, and of course they offer next to no protection against the cold or wet. But they're summer gloves, and negatives aside, they do get a thumbs up from me and remain my go-to gloves whether I'm riding my Tiger in the Algarve Hills or my scooter around town. Maybe a bit strange posting a review of summer gloves in October, but as Mrs. RM keeps reminding me, don't forget about the Southern Hemisphere. Let me know in the comments if you've unearthed any similarly impressive all-round go-to gloves, and as always, thanks for watching.